point, when Trump sent in federal troops and everything else like that, sending the Marines to try and take over Los Angeles is a huge city. People were still having brunch and didn't know what was happening in downtown. Washington, D.C. is a lot more compact. I'm getting texts and Instagram pictures and everything else like that from people today talking about teenagers being, yanked off the streets for playing their music too loud, or people being arrested and handled roughly for just smoking marijuana, which they're allowed to do in certain parts of the city. What do you think could be the long-term impact on this? Because to me, I think if you do this in Washington, D.C., there's a lot of powerful people in that city who aren't going to like this, and the pushback might be louder and closer than attempting to do this across the country when he did in Los Angeles.
Well, certainly. I mean, look, I think this is Donald Trump's sort of opening salvo to see how far he can push this. I mean, the thing about D.C. is for a long time, young people in this city, who are not very many, they're about 6 to 10% of the population, are more represented in the justice system than anybody else, right, in this city. And the only thing we can believe from that is kids are more likely to commit crimes, which isn't true. But they are people more likely to be caught and be surveilled and be singled out. And I think people need to be very careful here. One of the things that DC does not have is a prison system. So you start getting these younger people in the criminal justice system sooner, you're going to more likely see these people be charged as adults, which he said he wanted juveniles to be charged as adults. And they're going to be sent further away from the district. And we know this is going to have all kinds of effects, like congressional representation for the states that take these young people. But more importantly, I think we have to remember DC has been a political football for a really long time, right? Mm-hmm. Going back to like Vincent Gray's days in the 90s, right, when there was a DC control board. I mean, I think this is an attempt to do something more severe than that and put DC into almost a kind of receivership and really maintain control, not just of the laws of the city and the people of the city, but also the coffers of the city, which are quite full right now. And I think that's something we cannot forget, that DC commands billions of dollars for a city its size. And so that has to be attractive on some dimension to this federal government.